I now would like to turn it over to Dr. Tate, who will ask her questions. Dr. Tate.
Greetings and thank you. I'm very honored to be in your presence. And Heidi, and I wanted to piggyback off of what you said about the Mandela rules being guiding principles. And that's one of the core issues that we're finding in all of our work. I know I can speak for our team and for even myself personally. I also work as an advocate for Indigenous human rights in the United States. And unfortunately, the United States, kind of avoids enforcement of human rights by using reservations, not ratifying treaties, and not implementing domestic legislation. And that would help bring the United States into compliance with human rights obligations. And that's one of the core issues that we're having as we're trying to empower our families and their incarcerated loved ones with legal empowerment, with those kind of the tools that can help them to navigate when they're in this type of situation. And I was reading that from an actual jailhouse manual of human rights that I was received from the Bernstein Institute of Human Rights. So that kind of leads me into my question. And this was a question that was submitted by one of our panelists, Vita. And how can you tell us a bit about the paralegal training program that you began in Kenya? And were the women who participated able to get jobs upon release? And what made this program successful along the lines of legal empowerment?
So I just participated. Can't take whatever the word is. I can't take responsibility for starting the program. I just stepped into it to learn what they were doing. But it's truly an amazing program because in Kenya, they don't have public defenders. So people get arrested, they spend however long it is in pretrial detention, and then they go to court on their own. And so this program was, I can't remember, it was a long training program for the women. Unfortunately, their focus was on appeals. And I think it was because on the appeal, you have the paper decision in front of you. Like you can look at the sentence and then you can kind of unknot the sentence because you're looking at paper. When you're working with them, they're going to court by themselves. It's harder to help them prepare. Ideally, a program like that would be helping people prepare so that they're ready for a bond hearing so they can just get themselves out, or prepared for their actual trial. But in effect, these women were really successful in appeals. Like they had books, they had case law, they had a little office in that women's prison, in Langata Women's Prison, and they would write appeals. Why? Because nobody had lawyers. So the judges and the prosecutors were careless, and so they were actually, yeah, like I said, they were quite successful. They didn't have nearly enough paralegals. It made me sad that they would only be able to come in after the sentence, because I was watching women, going to trial, having no idea what was going to happen, or basically, going to trial and some other woman saying to her, "Oh, I said this, say this," Did they get jobs afterwards? I only kept up with like 2 of them after they got out, and one of them was shortly after she got out, still looking for a job. Unfortunately, Kenya is a lot like, I can at least say, the US and Brazil, and the fact that you might as well just tattoo on somebody's forehead.
Been in prison, right?
Yep, former prisoner.
Wow.
And so you're labeled, but these women definitely had skills. They had writing skills, they had argument skills, they had confidence that they did not have before they participated in that program. And sometimes we talked about what you most need. I also had another man friend from the men's prison who had, I don't even know, I want to say over 100 successful appeals before he actually finally succeeded in his own appeal in getting out on a death sentence. Still looking for a job, but we talked about, you have to start your own work. You have to be your own boss, start your own business, so you're not waiting for somebody else to see past that label, And this wasn't your question, but just something you said when you're leading in. I just wanted to also say that it's a choice. And as you very point by point put, the US doesn't make that choice, but it's a choice of the government to respect or not the Mandela rules. In Brazil, there are judges that cite the Bangkok rules, which are the standard minimum rules for women in prison. There are judges' decisions that cite the Mandela rule, the Bangkok rules, in their written decision in court cases, in criminal cases. You know, so it is a choice that we need to push our government to make.
Right, because human rights, although human rights are supposed to be for everyone, no matter what walk of life, but if they're for everyone, why do we have to ask for them, beg for them?
Yep.
You know?